DreAllDay.com.
Hello from Russia. Today I'm going to tell you 3 very, very simple steps to fix or improve on any process. Maria from Madrid, what's going on? What I'm up to, I just got done running. Now I'm about to do this Periscope, then I'm give me something to eat. That's what I'm up to. What you up to? But this is Dre Baldwin, everybody. I'm checking in from South Florida, native of Philadelphia. I'm a pro athlete, pro speaker, coach, consultant, author of 7 books, 3 TED Talks, 5,000 YouTube videos. I do a lot of things. I got a podcast called Work on Your Game. Y'all want to check that out. You can learn a lot more from me and about me. And today I want to tell you 3 simple steps to improve on anything that you're doing. This is any process. If it's just you personally, if it's you working with a team, if it's you playing a sport, if it's a business thing, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is you're doing, if you can follow these three simple steps, you will improve on any process. And everybody can follow the steps. It's just a matter of, can you remain disciplined enough to keep following them? So I'm going to give you these 3 steps. I'm going to tell you what they are. I'm going to explain them, and then I'm going to recap, and then I'm going to take questions. All right, this is going to be real quick. All right, number 1 thing you do to improve on anything that you're doing in life is, first of all, you got to take stock of where you are and what you have. First thing you got to do is get clear on, where am I? What do I have? For example, when I was playing basketball, I tried out for the basketball team in high school. I didn't make it as a junior. I tried out 3 years in a row. My junior year, I didn't make it. So I knew I had one year left to try to make the basketball team. The first thing I had to do was not bitch about the coach, not say the coach don't want to pick me because he already know who he has. He not picking me because I'm not tall, or he's friends with this player and that player, so he's not picking me, because those are bullshit, bitch-ass excuses that will leave you making excuses for the rest of your life. If that would have been the story I told myself, I would have not have been able to improve it. The first thing you got to do is take stock of where you at. So the first thing I had to say was, all right, I need to get my game up, because if I had more game, then I would have made the basketball team. If I had more experience, then I would have played better when it was time to play better. If I could get my skills higher than these guys that's on the team, the next year when I try out against them, I can prove that I'm actually better than those guys. Because right now, I'm not sure. I got to get my game up. The first thing I had to do was say, this is where I'm at. I get a lot of basketball players come to me and they be like, well, Dre, what do you do when you're better than everybody who tried out, but you still got cut? I'm like, yo, you're not fucking better than nobody. That's why you got cut. You ain't better than nobody. Like, if you lie to yourself about where you at, ladies and gentlemen, you can never get to where you're going. You got to be clear on where you at the beginning before you can go on to the next spot. It's kind of like catching an airplane. You ever heard this analogy? If I call American Airlines and say, give me the next flight to San Francisco, and they say, okay, but what airport are you flying from? And I say New York, but I'm actually in Miami. Am I ever going to make it to San Francisco? At least not on that flight. I'm not. I'm going to have paid for a flight that I can't even take. So you got to be clear on where you at first, and you got to be honest with yourself about where you at. That's step number 1. If you're not clear on who's on your team, how good is this person, how good am I at this job, how much skill do I actually have, if you're not honest with yourself about that, then you can never improve it, because you're lying to yourself that you had a 10 when you really had a 5. So how you want to get to a 9 if you think you already had a 10? Does everybody understand that? That's number 1. Number 2 thing you got to do after you take stock of everything that you have, everything that you're doing, is ask yourself, what is the ideal? What is the ideal? What is the ideal outcome of everything? If everything just went perfect, right? So if everything in my game went perfect, everything works out, and I get my game to where I want to be, what is the goal that I want to reach? So again, I'll use myself as an example. When I was playing basketball, I said, what's the ideal? If everything works out perfect next year, what's going to happen? That means I make the basketball team, I'm going to be a starter on the team, I'm going to score 30 points a game, I'm going to be all city, I'm going to make the McDonald's All-American game, and I'm going to get a college scholarship offer. Now, none of those things happened, but I did make the basketball team. The one thing that did happen is I did make the basketball team. I didn't really do much, and you can read all about that in my first book. It's free. It's on my website. It's called Buy a Game. But the thing is, this is the reason why you got to lay out what the ideal is. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the ideal, but what it means is you're giving yourself a goal. You're giving yourself a clear picture on where you want to go. Because if you don't have a clear picture on where you want to go, how are you going to get there? How do you know which direction to go in? It's kind of like when you're driving and you're on a highway and there's like 6 different signs, 6 different ways you can go. If you don't know what the destination is, how are you going to get there? So it's kind of like the GPS analogy. Y'all have heard this before, I'm sure. So you got to get clear on what the ideal is. What is the perfect outcome? Doesn't mean you're going to get the perfect outcome, but at least you know what you're working towards. So every time you do work, you can say, all right, do I need to do this? Yes or no? It's kind of like an A or B thing. You're not sure if you should take this action or not take this action. You can say, all right, what's my ideal? You know what the ideal is. Which one of these gets me closer to the ideal, the perfect outcome? That way you know where to go. So if you're clear on where you at and you're clear on where you want to go, it's much easier to start taking those actions. And here's the third thing you got to do. This is number 3. Number 3 is this. What is the most important thing for you to start with? What's the most important thing to start with? Because if you're taking stock of where you at, and you know where you want to get to, it might be a whole bunch of different parts to your business. It might be a whole bunch of different parts to your game. It might be a whole bunch of different parts to the organization you're working with. You might have 30 people working with you. What is the first most important thing? What's the most important thing you need to do to get started? If you're running the business, the most important thing is probably that you have money coming in, that you got some customers. That's the most important thing. Before you redesign the break room, you need to make sure you got some customers coming in, right? So even though they're both goals, which one do you need to start with? So you got to get clear on what's the first thing. First thing for me was I need to get some game experience. I need to go get on a team so I can go get some game experience. For me, when again, using myself as a basketball example. So that was my first step. So everybody got to get clear on what it is. That's number one. And number two, what is the ideal outcome? And number three, what is the first thing you work on? Also known as Dre All Day. My podcast is called Work On Your Game. Work On Your Game is my podcast. Everyday podcast. We on iTunes, we on Stitcher, we on SoundCloud every day. As I said, I'm on Snapchat at Dre Baldwin. Can I take any questions? I'll give y'all a second to post questions, and then we wrapping this one up. Thank you for the hearts. People who've been tapping the screen for the hearts. 34. Birthday 2382. Most of the questions you got about me personally will be on my website, dreallday.com. So that's why I will redirect anyone. No, I don't play for the Heat. What's up, Sweden? 2 people from Sweden. Shout out to everybody in Sweden. And the 2 people from Sweden is checking in right now. Can I take any questions? Going once, going twice. So everybody that's on Snapchat, my Snap is at Dre Baldwin. What country do I enjoy playing in the most? That's on my website, dreallday.com. If you're on Snapchat, follow me on Snapchat at Dre Baldwin. Why didn't I give up after not making the team? Read that book that I just referred to. Again, it's on my website. What's going on, Ireland? If you want to read my first book, it is free. I'll give it to you free. Go to dreallday.com. Just put your name, email in. When form, put your name, email in. We'll send it to you via email within 24 hours. What's today? Wednesday. Work on your game. dreallday.com. If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is at Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work On Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset. Getting yourself seen, heard, known. Getting the exposure you want and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game. Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I'm ballin'. I feel like Dre